All right, burgeoning viewers, one quick note for you. A subscriber a day in October. If we hit 31 subscribers in 31 days, one lucky subscriber will walk away with the entire Modern Horizons art card series. Additionally, a comment a day. Any subscriber that leaves a comment in every video posted by MTG Burgeoning during the month of October will become eligible for the November Pack Wars. On November 1st, a list of all subscribers that left a comment on every MTG Burgeoning video during the month of October will be compiled, and from this list, one subscriber will be randomly chosen to participate in the November Pack Wars. So hope for peace, but prepare for war. Welcome back, burgeoning community. You are here at Build a Deck Tuesday, and we are going to continue building with Riku of Two Reflections. Hello and welcome back, MTG Burgeoning community. Thank you for participating in this Build a Deck series, and we're going to continue building around Riku of Two Reflections. If anyone is a little behind in our little sub-series here of Riku, you can click on any of the links below, and it'll get you caught up to speed. And as we do customarily here on Build a Deck Tuesdays, we're going to quickly go through the cards that we've already included in this deck before we start talking about the next subset of cards to go in. All right, so we have, come on camera, Earthcraft, Tooth and Nail, Rite of Replication, Doubling Season, Warp World, Genesis Wave, Sneak Attack, Intuition, Snapcaster Mage, Skull Clamp, Druid's Repository, Exploration, Avenger of Zendikar, Phylath, World Sculptor, Chancellor of the Forge, Deranged Hermit, Deep Forest Hermit, Siege Gang Commander, Hornet Queen, Mere Battlesphere, Dragon Lair Spider, Dragon Broodmother, Omnoth, Locus of Rage, Rampaging Baloths, Wood Elves, Firehaven Elf, Springbloom Druid, Elvish Rejuvenator, Risen Reef, Coiling Oracle, Llanowar Visionary, Thibblethip the Lost, Icefang Coatl, Wall of Blossoms, Growth Spiral, and Manamorphose. So if you can pick up on the theme of our deck so far, we are looking to add a bunch of creatures that can advance our board state, get some other permanents into play, so that we could really hit a great Warp World that might potentially be copied by Riku of Two Reflections, in addition to some choice other instants and sorceries that can be copied with Riku that could really bring us about the end of the game. And for the next 12 cards, we were to, fill in the next spot here, the next dozen or so cards, with cards that are going to help strengthen the focus of our deck, help to solidify our game plan, and maybe include a couple of other win conditions. So let's start with Temporal Mastery. For 5 and 2 blue, take an extra turn after this and then exile it. No one's paying 5 and 2 blue to cast this spell. We are going to cast this for its miracle cost. 1 in a blue, as long as it's the first card we draw during our turn. Temporal Mastery is going to only cost us 1 in a blue. That's a Time Walk, folks, and Time Walk is a banned card in our format. Adding a blue and a red to the miracle cost of Temporal Mastery will get us 2 extra turns. Now, remember, your metagame is more important than extra turns. League play, tournament play, that's up to you. Number 2, Court of Calling for X and triple green, and this has the Convoke mechanic, which means that each creature we tap while casting this spell reduces its cost by 1 colorless or generic mana, and by 1 mana of that creature's color. We have predominantly green creatures in this deck thus far, in addition to many of those creatures that create green creature tokens. So utilizing the convoke mechanic on Court of Calling should not be burdensome at all. And when we cast this, we search our library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it right into play. Instant speed, and for an additional Is It from Riku, we copy that spell. So Court of Calling, we can consider that to be a win condition, similar to Temporal Mastery and similar to Comet Storm. X and double red, this mythic rare has multi-kicker, which means we may pay an additional 1 colorless or generic any number of times as we cast this spell. We may choose target creature or player, then choose another target creature or player for each time Comet Storm was kicked, and Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. And we can copy this, again with Riku. We invested the multi-kicker into the original casting of Comet Storm, so we do not have to pay that again. And Comet Storm can be a win condition, particularly because of the amount of mana that we'll be able to generate in this deck. Next card. We're not in black, so we're going to lose out on some of the best tutors in the game. So how are we going to get these instants and sorcery spells into our hand? Well, eventually, Mystical Tutor will get that card into our hand. For 1 blue, we search our library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, shuffle our library, and put that card on top of it. We have lots of spells in this deck that help to draw cards, so we cast a Mystical Tutor, cast one of those spells, get the card into our hand the same turn. Timing restrictions apply, of course. All right, card number 5. Urabrask the Hidden. 3 and double red, this 4/4 Praetor gives creatures we control haste, and creatures our opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Haste is such an underrated mechanic. It's extremely powerful, and Urabrask gifts us that and also punishes our opponents for having their creatures come into play tapped. This is a phenomenal card to come into play from a Warp World. And just that synergy alone warrants Urabrask's inclusion into this deck. All right, we're at the halfway point here with card number 6, and with haste being so important, we are also going to include a copy of Anger. Now, 3 and a red for a 2/2 haster, that's not going to get a lot of attention in many builds. However, if Anger's in our graveyard and we control a mountain, and we will control a mountain, then all creatures we control have haste. We have to jump through some hoops to give our squad haste, but I think Anger is worth it, just to make sure that that happens. Next up, on the bottom half of this subset of 12 cards, we have Fact or Fiction. End of turn, Fact or Fiction. How many games are won with that phrase? End of turn, Fact or Fiction. 3 and a blue, it's an instant. We reveal the top 5 cards of our library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. We put one into our hand and the other into our graveyard. And for a blue and a red, we copy that with Riku. And that's just an amazing amount of card advantage. Plus, let's not underestimate the potential of political machinations in a game. Next card up, we have Mystic Confluence. 3 and 2 blue. This beauty from Battle Bond says choose 3, and we may choose the same mode more than once. We can counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. We can return target creature to its owner's hand, or we can draw a card. So we tap 5, we can draw 3 cards, or we can return 3 creatures, or we can counter a spell, draw a card, return a creature to its owner's hand. Those are all great. However, if we include a red and a blue, if we include a little Is It text to this spell and copy it with our general up there, Riku, now we're getting into paying 7 total mana to maybe draw 6 cards, to maybe counter a spell, return 2 creatures, and draw 4 cards. Now it starts to really get out of hand with the versatility of Mystic Confluence, and copying that with Riku is amazing. All right, we're on our bottom third of our 12 cards here in our Riku build, and some moons ago, when we introduced the first 12 cards of this build, one of those 12 was Intuition. And during the description of that, it was foreshadowed that including cards such as Eternal Witness and Regrowth, while casting an Intuition, will pretty much get us any card we want. Well, to make good on that foreshadowing, here's Eternal Witness. 1 and 2 green for a 2/1 human. When it enters the battlefield, we return a card from our graveyard to our hand. And not to be outdone, shortly thereafter, here's number 10, and we have Regrowth. 1 and a green, return target card from our graveyard to our hand. So how it works is we cast Intuition, we search for Eternal Witness, we search for Regrowth, and we search for the card that we really want. And then we allow our opponents to choose one of those to keep, the other 2 go to the graveyard. If they choose the card we want, fantastic. If they choose Regrowth, we're going to get the card we want by casting Regrowth. And if they choose Eternal Witness, well, we're going to get the card from casting Eternal Witness. Puts our opponents in a bind, and it's a great way to load up our graveyard for future recursion. Speaking of future recursion, number 11, we have Genesis. For 4 and a green, we got a 4/4, and then that's it. So we don't really want him in the graveyard. I mean, we don't really want him on the battlefield. We want him in the graveyard, because if we do, at the beginning of our upkeep, we tap 2 and a green, and we return a creature from our graveyard to our hand. So Genesis, similar to Anger, we want both of those creatures in our yard doing nothing more than that. All right, and last up, we have card number 12. And that is going to be what may be, at the moment, the best cloner in the game, Camino notwithstanding. We have Spark Double. 3 and a blue. It's an illusion, and when it enters into the battlefield, it can enter as a copy of a creature or planeswalker we control, except it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature, and it enters with an additional loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. And if it isn't legendary, and Spark Double isn't legendary if that permanent is legendary. So we're not going to most likely have any planeswalkers in this deck to take effect of copying a planeswalker and having 2 of the same one in play, but that's not a problem at all, because Spark Double can come in and it can copy some of our smaller creatures that can get us our lands or get us our cards in our hand, or it's coming down and it's copying an Omnath. And it's sticking because it's not, the copy on Spark Double is not going to be legendary. Or it's copying Avenger of Zendikar. Spark Double, best cloner in the game. And that's it, folks. Those are the next 12 cards added to our Riku deck. And we are just about done. We don't have many slots remaining. And all that we're looking for now, let's get some ramp spells. Let's get some removal. Maybe some additional card draw, maybe a couple of surprises. Let me know in the comment section below or over on the tappedout.net page. This is MTG Burgeoning, folks, and we are building Riku of Two Reflections. Want to become a Pack Wars combatant? 4 easy steps. Step number 1. Click on the link below in the description, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/MTG Burgeoning. Step number 2, select either membership or support. Membership will enroll you into Pack Wars for $5 each month. Support will cost $5 for 1 month. Step number 3, complete payment information. The name you use will appear on the site. Use your real name, use your YouTube handle, or use no name at all and be anonymous. Be sure to include your email address in the information. Step number 4, most importantly, prepare for war.